Hello everyone, it's good to see you all back. Have you given the coldheart a try as of lately? As if not, then you're missing out on an amazing 10-second super build that many people are generally overlooking. Now, while Delicate Tomb is a great weapon to use with geomags, it's actually all about coldheart, which can get a vast damage increase on its own and through various debuffs, can it heal the user from kills made, can generate tons of ionic traces for us to use, and is amazing for spamming ionic sentry and chaos reach back to back in the right environment. So before you give Delicate Tomb and Geomag build a try, you should give this version a try first. So let's start with exotic armor, Geomag stabilizers. With this exotic effect, close enough. It states, damaging targets with chaos reach extends its duration. Collected ionic traces grants you energy for chaos reach. Sprinting while near max bolt charge will grant stacks over time. Geomags have seen a large increase with the player base because of the increased amount of arc focused items this season. This isn't a bad thing, since Chaos Reach is extremely powerful on its own, but even more stronger when combined with the coldheart. The idea here is the same to how most players would use Delicate Tomb to dictate their builds, which is to gather enough ionic traces to build up our super, and spam it back to back. The thing about using coldheart is that it will periodically generate the following when doing damage. Now combine that with the following other fragments, aspects and seasonal mods on hand, and we can garner around 3 to 4 traces at a time, which is huge if you can proc it very often. Our second exotic is Coldheart with exotic effect Cold Fusion and Longest Winter, which states, this weapon shoots a steady cold fusion powered arc laser, dealing more damage the longer it remains on target. It periodically generates ionic traces while in its high damage state. While deciding which weapon to pick between Coldheart and Delicate Tomb, I went with Coldheart just because it offers more for the endgame usage. For example, Coldheart has a bigger magazine reserved to use, can deal more damage against enemies the longer it fires, which is great against certain types of enemies, and overall can create more ionic traces within its duration than what Delicate Tomb can offer. Now, this doesn't mean Delicate Tomb is bad, since I have a build for it ready and waiting to be uploaded. Plus, Delicate Tomb has its own benefits that Coldheart lacks. It's just when you want to deal with tough enemies for long durations or until your ammo runs dry, then the Coldheart kinda wins that. For aspects and fragments, we have the following. Electric Stab Mine, where defeating a target with arc abilities or jolted targets creates ionic traces. Collecting traces make you amplified. Ionic Sentry, where defeating a target with kinetic, arc weapons or arc abilities, will charge up an arc turret that will periodically attack nearby targets. Spark of Discharge, where arc weapon final blows have a chance of creating ionic traces. Spark of Beacons, where while amplified, special and heavy arc weapons can blind targets after kills. A Spark of Ions, where defeating a jolted target creates ionic traces. And Spark of Frequency, where melee hits increase your weapon stability and reload speed for a few seconds. While amplified, the effects are increased and you gain increased bolt charges from all sources. With the new seasonal mods for Trace Rifles now available, I would highly recommend you select Beam Medic, Elemental Siphon, and Harsh Refraction because of the following things they will substantially provide. So with Coldheart in hand, it will do 2 things. It will get a damage increase the longer it fires, and will also generate ionic traces periodically. These here can be linked to a wide number of things going on with the build, with ionic traces, for example, being heavily created from Spark of Discharge, Ions, and Electric Stab Mine. Now, with these in mind, not only will you be able to get our super up and running within a few seconds or less, but our ability energy is being constantly topped up to allow us to get ionic sentries up and running as well. In a very busy area, you can quite easily get your super back to back, while also getting a second ionic sentry while first one is still up and running. For damage though, all of this will be coming from our super alone once our super is built up, but Coldheart is quite excellent with naturally building up his damage over time. Combine that with Harsh Refraction and ionic sentry for that extra push, and you'll become near unstoppable in a number of GMs. And I wish I was joking about the GM part. As a heads up, bolt charges will have their say in the build once we use our abilities to activate them, but they won't be taking up too much of the page compared to the builds I have done before. I feel like the current setup is just enough to where the build can excel without bolt charges needed, but will still provide a benefit nonetheless. For the mods and stats, we have Resilience and Discipline marked with the highest priorities for the build. Strength will also play its part, with it being used to trigger bolt charges or get us amplified. Resilience, we have ours at tier 10 for a 30% damage reduction. I've added the arc resistance mod, although this will vary from fights to fights, as arc resistance tend to be the most recommended defense mod to use this season. There is also void resistance to take in mind, and also the solar plus cluster dampener mods to keep in mind as well against a Hive, who generally love to use fire this season. A discipline, we have Arla at tier 10 for a 46-second cooldown via flashbang grenades. Flashbangs are highly recommended as they are great for ad control, but also because we have spark of beacons on hand, which can also blind enemies caught by a finisher blast. On top of that, this will also trigger dielectric and harsh refraction seasonal mod, which is a bonus that our trace rifles can easily activate over time. Simply, the grenade will trigger a wide number of effects for us to make full use of, which is perfect with how nestled in and easy it is to use. So ignoring the buff, let's expand on the abilities being used. We have the following: Momentum Transfer ×1 for a 12% melee ability regen, Impact Induction ×2 for a 17% grenade ability regen, and Bomber for a 12% grenade ability regen as well. For the additional mods, we then have the following: Heavy and Special Ammo Finder, Reserves and Scavenger mods for a heavy and special weapon, Harmonic Siphon for creating orbs of power via matching weapons type, Charged Up for a +1 armor charge, Arc and Strand Surge ×1 for a 10% elemental weapon buff, although optional, a Powerful Traction for automatically collecting orbs of power when using your class ability, and Time Dilation, which will reduce the decay rate of charged gear. Our primary is the Adamant A-Arm with Recuperacy and Tear perks. So picking this weapon up allows me to heal myself and allies fairly easily with the perks available, while at the same time allowing me to proc Sever via Tear perk. Now the Tear perk is interesting, as we can combine this with the Photonic Flash seasonal mod and proc the blind effect onto a wide number of enemies as we see fit. We do of course need to net a kill to proc it, but I personally find this to be better to have compared to Slice, which is requiring X amount of damage to be done before it triggers. So with the ability to weaken and healing all in one, this weapon is worth using with our trace rifle of choice. Heavy, we have the Watchful Eye with Overflow and Target Lock. One of the best rolls to get when you want to have a weapon that focuses on pure DPS. The following is great for filling in the void that our special just can't match. Now a trace rifle does do fairly huge amount of damage over time, which is great, but having a heavy weapon like this can also be great as you can get around 160 ammo in this base magazine and can do wonders when you don't have time to reload. Simply put, if you need something that hits a lot more harder than you need to, then this weapon roll here will do a ton of damage in seconds, and I highly recommend it. With the power of coldheart and geomags, you too can get a super in under 10 seconds. All the while, you'll also get an increased damage from coldheart and harsh refraction seasonal mod, constant supply of ionic traces, a fast recharge rate for using ionic sentry, and overall, a reliable build that packs just enough of a punch to be used in GMs and dungeons as you wish. I was quite surprised with the build to be honest, as many people in the community were talking about how Delicate Tomb was the go-to exotic if you wanted super fast super. However, the following has shown me that even if you don't have Delicate Tomb on your hand, you can at least use and buy something else that works similar to it. And I generally do believe people do sleep on the two weapons as a whole, unless a seasonal mod is revealed for them. If it wasn't thanks to the Parkour Deconstruction seasonal mod, I don't personally believe many people would have given Delicate Tomb a try. This goes the same for using trace rifles, even though both exotics when aligned with specific items can be insanely powerful in their own instances. Take a look at the gameplay shown, and you see my trace rifle alone is pulling in quite a lot of damage against bosses and mini bosses alone, all the while my heavy stays present until needed. Using this in one of the more wave-based activities truly shows just how crazy the exotic and build can get, and then trying this in GMs actually allowed me to get kills a lot more faster than compared to my primary, for example. The only issue I did have when using GMs was a lack of ammo at times, but this is a small issue that can be easily fixed with the right setup in mind. Overall though, the premise of using trace rifles this season is highly recommended because of these seasonal mods present. However, as shown, you can create some very powerful builds that can outdo most meta builds that the community tends to flaunt around heavily this season alone. So there we have it. I hope you all enjoyed the build breakdown. If you have any thoughts on content shared, then please leave a comment below. While if you enjoy the content and want more of these videos, then leave a like and a sub while you're here. A dim link for the builds located below in the pinned section, and I do advise you check out my playlist for more. It was great sharing today's video with you all, and I hope to see you again soon.